Nigerians, you welcome to another edition of your favorite program. Now let's explain this. My name is Lekon Niswe, your friend in the School of Wisdom. Today on the program, our focus is to look at the activities of Sport Writers Association of Nigeria, Constitution Chapter. By the grace of God, we have the chairman of the association right here in the studio. My guest today is Comrade Michael Ogunsiji, Chairman, Swan in Ogun State. Chairman, welcome to the program.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Lisoye. Good morning, Nigerians. I am Michael Aziz Ogunsiji, the Ogun State Chairman of Sport Writers Association of Nigeria, Swan.
Okay. I want us to look at the activities. Can you just briefly give us the update of Swan in Ogun State?
Well, Swan is a national association established in 1962 by Trade Union Act, and ever since then we are affiliated to International Sports Journalists Association, AIPS. That is the African body, and we are also affiliated to World Sports Journalists, the Federation of Sports Journalists in the world as well. So by and large, in Ogun State chapter, we have been up and doing. We have been able to, carry important stakeholders that are very key into sport developments in the states, and of course, we have also ensured that. Our secretary, and we have introduced so many lofty ideas, lofty programs for members of the program, and of course for our members of the association. And when I was elected as chairman of the association in July last year, so exactly a year now. So we have ensured that we have improved upon what we met on ground, and we have also ensured that we, put in place many laudable programs that are impactful on members of the public and of course our members. We have been able to redefine sports journalism in the state and of course in the country at large, because away from the usual criticism of sport administrators, athletes, and of course stakeholders, and away from the usual reportage of sports journalism, we have been able to also prove to the world we can do administratively, and to also contribute as part of our corporate social responsibility and the social responsibility theory of the media, by not only being the watchdog of society, but being a responsible journalist or practicing responsible journalism, solution journalism. We have ensured that we have created a lot of ideas. One of the programs we have initiated since I came on board is the Swan Media Cup. The Swan Media Cup was established about 3 years ago, where I initiated it as a secretary, and thankfully to the then ESCO, led by Akim Akitunde, they were able to bust the idea, they key into it, and then we look for sponsors to ensure that to practice what we preach. Because as sports journalists, we do criticize athletes for not doing it rightly. So it was on that premise that we felt, okay, come and practice what you have been preaching and what I've been saying. Let's see how easy it is. At the same time, to also bring a kind of camaraderie among us journalists, not only sports journalists, but the entire journalists in Ogun State, because the professionals, the pen professionals that participated in that Swan Media Cup are not only Swan members. It's cut across all spectrum of journalism in Ogun State. You have journalists from the radio stations, journalists from the TV stations in the States who are not even Swan members at all, and of course the freelance independent broadcasters, the FIBAN, the presenters, we also included them because whether we like it or not, some members of the public classify them as journalists, but the bidder as is me, because they speak sports, they do sport, and they are freelancers. We also incorporated them. Of course, we also, incorporated some chapels under the NUJ, the Nigerian Union of Journalists in Ogun State. So there are some chapels who are not field journalists, like the press officers in the Ministry of Information, the press officers in the local government service, who are press officers in the local government in the local government area of the state. So we try to ensure that we bring everybody together to come and play football. It's a five-a-side football, and away from that, what we want to achieve with that was to ensure that there's a bond among all journalists in the state. We want to create a platform of friendship, to network as well, and to know ourselves better. We've been hearing names on radio, on TV that we were, because of the exigency of our job, we were unable to, fraternize and meet ourselves in person. But with that platform, yes. So with that platform, we've been able to know ourselves, to meet at the same time, to rejuvenate ourselves, to improve on our metabolism and the health system, because the health is wealth, and this is a kind of job that is a thankless job. Journalism is a thankless job where you do and you don't have time for yourself for medical treatment, you don't have time for yourself for medical checkup, you don't have time for yourself or your family for regular exercise. So we use that opportunity to ensure that at least once in a year we exercise our body. We try to meet ourselves and network. Yes. So away from that, the Swan Media Cup, there's another program that it is called recently we just held what we call we celebrated the World Sports Journalists Day, the 2024 edition.
Yes, you have seen my mind. You have read my mind.
Yes.
I want to ask you
the 2024 edition of that holiday is an international holiday. It is called World Sports Journalists Day. It's an international sports journalists day for sports journalists across the world, not only in Nigeria. For sports journalists across the world, it's an holiday established by FIFA, established by the AIPS, that sports journalists in the world, let us celebrate ourselves. Let us.
We've been celebrating others.
Yeah, we've been celebrating others. So let us also have time to celebrate ourselves, to also review on our activities in the past, and also, chart a new course ahead for the future, to see what we can do, what have we achieved, what is it that we are doing that is not right, then how can we improve on this. And so as Swan in Ogun State, what we do was to commemorate that event that day with a day workshop, because as journalists we felt, what can we do to also impact on members of the public. However, we felt at the same time that there's this gap, there's been a lacuna where the older generations of the sports journalists or the sports journalism are fading away. When they retire, there are no.
Don't want any vacuum at all.
So there are no young sharp that will take over the job from the older ones. So we discovered that many young graduates of mass communication, they don't want to venture into sports journalism as a specialized bit, as a specialized aspect of mass communication and journalism. So I was like, okay, we said, okay, what can we do? Let us train upcoming journalists to ensure that they see reason why they have to venture into sports journalism.
Chairman, just go for that. Just have a break, and when we come back now go down again.
Oníkìjì, èmi mo ránṣẹ́ sí ọ. Ìdí tí mo sì fi ní kó o yọjú sí mi ni pé o mọ̀ pọ́lá lọ́dún Ògún wa.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bàbá.
Wo ìbọn tí ń bẹ lọ́wọ́ mi. Ìbọn tó ń wò yìí ò ń ṣe ìbọn lásán.
Wọ́n ti dọ́dọ̀ yìí. Wọ́n ti dọ́dọ̀ wa o. Wọ́n á kó ẹrù mi kù kan. Gbogbo ẹrù mi pátá ni wọ́n kó.
Ẹ wá gbọ́ o, omi tuntun ti rú báyẹn jà tuntun sí ti wọnú ẹ̀. Ẹ̀gbọ́n náà ṣé ogun láyé ni? Ṣé bá a ti jagun àjàṣẹ́gun àti jagun àjàṣẹ́tẹ̀?
Bàbá wa, ṣùgbọ́n ní tí ìlú bá dà, àwọn olóyè ló máa ń kọ́kọ́ mọ̀. Àmọ́ ìlú ìdá púpọ̀ àwa.
welcome back to the program. I want to explain this on Nstv Lagos. My guest is still the chairman, Swan in Ogun State, Comrade Michael Ogunsiji. Let me first of all congratulate you for marking 1 year in office. You were sworn in last year, July. Today's another July, so that's opportunity. Now, recently, I want to say you held a program at Christian University, where you train university. What's the rationale behind that?
Yes, the rationale behind the seminar was to ensure that we train new crop of sports journalists in the country, not only the states. And to God be the glory, Swan, in conjunction with management of Christland University at Beokuta here, we trained exactly 114 undergraduate mass comm students. And these undergraduates cut across all levels, from 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, and of course 400 level students who will soon be in the labor markets to start practicing what they have learned in school. So the essence, the rationale behind that is for us to ensure that we train a set of sports journalists and to also sensitize the students that there's prospects, there's future, there's a career in sports journalism, away from the general spectrum of sport and journalism in the country. Sport is a specialized bit. It's a specialized area where not all journalists can delve into. It's a specialized bit where not all journalists can report the profession effectively, because sport has its own language. It is not the usual language you use that you use in the mainstream journalism for sports journalism. It's ditto to bits like maritime, bits like judiciary, bits like crime at the same time, because there's difference between a suspect and a criminal. So you have to know all these terminologies before you can delve into such specialized bits. So these are the things we thought, what can we do as part of our own contribution to the society, and of course to bridge a relationship between the town and the gown. So we were able to take that training to the students on their campus last week to commemorate the World Sports Journalists Day, the 2024 edition of that international holiday. And so God be the glory, it was a success. We have the Honorable Commissioner for Sports in Ogun State, Honorable Asu Isaka, who declared the event open as the chairman of the location. And of course, we have notable and veteran sports journalists who are household names when it comes to sports journalism in the country. The likes of Dikinkulu Luwusi, a one-time vice president of Swan in Nigeria, a one-time FIFA media officer for FIFA Under-17 World Cup that was hosted in Nigeria, a well-traveled and a sports journalist who has covered Olympics in Australia, who has covered Olympics in France, who has covered the World Cup in South Africa, he covered the World Cup in Brazil, and of course many international competitions. So Kunle Oluwusi, was the resource person who trained these students that day. And of course we also have the likes of Biodun Labi, the assistant general manager of Ogunsiji, and of course Akim Akitunde, the immediate past chairman of Swan in Ogun State, who trained these students. And the management of that university, Christian University, applauded Swan, for bringing that initiative, and of course for that ingenuity to ensure that we did not only criticize but also train upcoming journalists to ensure that they take a career in sports journalism. So by and large, just like the sports commissioner said, we have been able to redefine sports journalism in the States, away from criticizing, writing, reporting, but we are also building future sports journalists in the country.
Yes, building sports journalism. Do you have any provision for those ones in secondary school, primary school, when you are able to organize, or you have in the future provision to organize sporting activities, like football, in our secondary school?
Of course, that is in the pipeline, because immediately we held the successful training for the Christian University workshop. We've seen people coming to us telling us the need to set up a press club in our secondary schools in the States, and we are looking into that. And we are also looking at an avenue where we can create a sporting event for all private secondary schools and of course universities in Ogun State, because we discovered that the only sporting event that brings all secondary schools together in the States, it is the Principal's Cup, the Governor's Cup, and unfortunately the private schools are left out. These competitions are for public, are for government schools. So the private schools, whereas there are talents in the private schools who doesn't have that opportunity to explore, to exhibit that talents in them, except when they're doing their inter-house sports, which is not a bigger platform for them to actually showcase the God-gifted talents they have in there. So we're looking into this area to see how we can bridge the gap and to see how we can collaborate with the private schools and also expose these talents to the world. However, we can't do this all alone. It requires, it involves a lot of financial resources, and Swan as an association, we are not a money-making organization. We are journalists, and I want to use this opportunity to call on stakeholders in the states, in the country, to rally around us, to support us in the states, because that is one of the major challenges we are having.
How have you been financing your program, the one you highlighted initially?
Well, to God be the glory, it has been streetwise. It has been our street credibility, and of course, God being involved. Because one thing is to be a good administrator, another thing is to know your way around how to get resources. So within we look inward within our our ambit. We see who notable stakeholders, philanthropists that we can talk to. Just like the Swan Media Cup that was held, it was sponsored by a household electronics giant in the States. That is Oluwalogbon Electronics, who sponsored that competition. And of course, a bigger event is coming up in Ogun State that will shake the whole of entire of Ogun State in the last couple of weeks. And that is the Swan Security Cup. Yes. And as I tell you today, we have a sponsor, official title sponsor for that competition, which is ValueJet Airline Nigeria. It's an airline company owned by the owners of Bet Nigeria, that is Kune Tsunami, our own boy in Ogun State. And of course, this one security, this is the 4th edition. Yes, the fourth that we'll be doing, because this competition was established as in 2001. So we've held the 1st edition, won by Nigeria Security.
Is it only for security agencies?
Only for security agencies, because the idea was to ensure we create a synergy among all the security agencies in the states. At the same time, to ensure that the officers, they were able to know themselves and create a bond among them, because we realized that only the orgas, the commissioner of police, the head of the army, the head of the navy, the head of NSCDC, the head of Amotekun, the head of SOSAFE, they meet at a platform where they call the Council of Security meeting in Ogun State every month. But the rank and file officers, how do they meet? How do they reach out to themselves? If SOSAFE today, or let's say Trace, arrested Amotekun vehicle or chain Amotekun vehicle, what can we do that there won't be without conflict, that we can settle this? So through sport, we are using sports to bring them together and to create a kind of friendship among them. And to God be the glory, that competition has created a lot of employment for many of our youths in the state, because now many of the security agencies are now employing youths into their sports department. Now, since they know every year Swan is bringing up the competition.
Before you go, because our time is taken on me now, our time is fast spent now. Now, just in 2 minutes, what is the update on Gateway Games we are hosting this year?
Yes, the 22nd edition of the National Sport Festival will be holding next year between January 12 and January 26, and in Ogun State, start Gateway Games. And he ought to have held this year, but because of logistic reasons, it has been shifted to January next year. And of course, it is applicable everywhere. Just like we have the Nations Cup that was played this year. It was called Abidjan 2023, which was played early this year in February. So for us in Ogun State is ready. We are fully ready. We have the facilities that, of course, it is in the history of in Nigeria that Ogun State has the largest numbers of stadia in the country. We have 4 solid stadia, and of course, the facilities are there for us.
National standard?
Oh yes, because they are international stadiums, and these stadia are in the past hosted international competitions, hosted the under 17 World Cup, here in Ogun State. It has hosted the AFCON qualifiers, FIFA World Cup qualifiers in the states. So in Ogun State here. So this is an international competition. And we have the facilities. So no cause for alarm. The LOC with the MOC in Abuja are working hand in hand, and I can assure you, as I live here, I'm also meeting the Commissioner for Sports Developments in the state to to seek about the updates and the preparation. And of course, in the next couple of weeks, we will see actions in place where the state government will start rebuilding or upgrading many of our sporting facilities ahead of the National Sport Festival coming next year.
Yes, I'm sure there's no doubt in my mind that you will really be adequately informed about the Swan activities in Ogun State, what they have been able to do, what they are planning to do, and update on Gateway Games. I want to say thank you for the opportunity to start with Chairman Swan in Ogun State, Comrade Michael. It's my pleasure having you today.
Yeah, pleasure is always mine. I'm always welcome. I have no other job. I have no second address.
That to speak.
Yes. And right.
That's interesting. On Nstv Lagos, I'm Ogunsiji, your friend. That's how we will handle the program today. Until next time we shall meet again on the Let's Explain This, especially with Comrade Michael Ogunsiji. But he said he's ready. On anything sports is available. It's my pleasure. Until next week, I come your way. God bless you and bye for now.
Nstv offers regular updates on local and international news.